Okay, think about your daily commute for a second. Now, just imagine it completely transformed. I mean, by 2035, the simple act of getting from point A to point B in our cities could be, well, fundamentally different. Today, we're going to unpack the roadmap to that future. Let's dive in.
So really, how are we going to move in just over a decade? And look, this isn't just about getting faster cars or, more trains. It's about a total shift in how we experience our cities, how we value our time, and even how we connect to the power grid itself. So, what does this roadmap really look like?
On the left, you've got a scene that probably looks pretty familiar, right? A street just jam-packed with cars, total congestion. That's our reality today. But on the right, that's the vision for tomorrow. Wide open spaces, green trees, people actually moving freely. This contrast, this is what the urban mobility revolution is all about.
The mass-produced car was a revolution. It promised us all this freedom. But let's be honest, that freedom came at a pretty steep cost. Our cities are choked with traffic. Our air is polluted. And for so many of us, the daily commute is just a huge source of stress. We literally built our entire world around the car. And now? Well, now we're looking for a way out.
And that way out is a huge deal. We're not talking about small little changes here and there. People are calling this the seventh transport revolution. It's a global, coordinated effort backed by massive public and private investment, all aimed at completely rethinking how we get around.
So how do we get there? Well, this whole vision is really built on three core pillars. Let's kick things off with the first one, smarter vehicles. We're talking about the cars, the scooters, the drones themselves. They're all getting a serious upgrade. And the sheer scale of this change is honestly staggering. To put it into perspective, just one aggressive scenario for Italy is targeting over 10 million electric vehicles on the road by 2035. This isn't some niche market anymore. This is becoming the mainstream, and trust me, it's coming faster than you think.
Now, at the very heart of this whole revolution is one single piece of technology, the battery. All these advances in battery tech are making EVs cheaper, they're giving them longer range, and they're just more efficient. They're pretty much the engine that makes this entire transition actually possible.
But hey, it's not just about batteries. For certain kinds of transport, especially the heavy-duty stuff, other technologies are going to be absolutely crucial. We're talking about things like green hydrogen, synthetic e-fuels, and biofuels. They're all going to play a part in this much bigger goal of decarbonization.
Okay, and this is where things get really transformative. Autonomous vehicles, they promise to completely change our relationship with travel. I mean, just imagine for a second. Your commute is no longer wasted time. It's time you can use for productive work or just to kick back and relax. That right there is the absolute game-changing potential of autonomy.
Right, but here's the thing. Smarter vehicles can't just exist in a vacuum. They need a smarter world to operate in. And that brings us perfectly to our second pillar, intelligent infrastructure. I want you to remember this term, vehicle-to-grid, or V2G. It's a critical concept. Basically, it means your car stops being just a thing that uses energy. It actually becomes part of the energy grid itself. Think of it like a mobile battery that can store cheap, renewable energy and then sell it back when the grid needs it most. Your car could literally become an asset that makes you money while it's just sitting there parked.
And look, the process is way simpler than it sounds. You just plug in your car. The smart system charges it up when power is cheap and clean. Then, during those peak hours, while your car is parked, it can share that stored energy back to the grid, which helps keep everything stable and can even put money back in your pocket.
So here's the crucial takeaway, right? None of this, and I mean none of it, works without a rock-solid foundation. This entire connected ecosystem relies on super-fast communication networks like 5G and 6G and a really robust power grid that can handle this new two-way street of energy. The digital world and the physical world, they absolutely have to evolve hand in hand.
All right, so we've got the smart vehicles, we've got the intelligent infrastructure, but the final and honestly the most crucial piece of this whole puzzle, well, it's us. Pillar 3 is all about people and policy. And this quote right here, it just nails the core idea. It's about this big mental shift, moving away from owning a car to just using mobility as a service when you need it. It's about picking the right tool for the job, whether that's a scooter, a bike, a train, or a shared self-driving pod, all seamlessly connected. So you might be asking, how do we actually make this shift happen? Well, policy is the engine here. Cities are going to use a whole range of tools to nudge us towards these new behaviors. Things like fees for polluting vehicles, restricting car access to city centers, and something as simple but powerful as reclaiming street parking for people, parks, and bike lanes.
And the end result of all this, our cities are going to physically change. I mean, really change. They're going to be redesigned from the ground up with a human-centric approach. So think safer lanes for bikes and e-scooters, way more green space, and a city that's actually designed for people, not just for traffic.
And you know, when you boil it all down, this is why it all matters so much. The goal isn't just to have a greener, more efficient city. It's about building a more inclusive one. It's about creating a system where everyone, the elderly, people with disabilities, kids, has fair and easy access to get around.
Okay, this is an absolutely incredible vision, but let's get real for a second. How do we actually get from where we are today to there? It's time for a quick reality check.
The good news is, the roadmap has some really clear milestones. By 2025, we're in what you could call a consolidation phase. Then, 2030 is the real turning point, with millions of EVs on the road and VTG really starting to integrate. And by 2035, the goal is widespread urban decarbonization, with that electric fleet hitting over 10 million. But, and this is super important to remember, 2035 isn't some magic finish line. It's a huge milestone for sure, but it's still part of an ongoing transition. We're still going to see a mix of different technologies out there. The old ways of doing things, they're not just going to vanish overnight. Which brings us to one last, really critical point. This future that we've been talking about, it isn't guaranteed. It's not inevitable. It's going to be built by choices that are made by governments, by companies, and yeah, by every single one of us. The technology is creating the potential, but we have to choose to make it real. So the real question is, what will our choice be? Hey, thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope this gave you a clear picture of the incredible road that lies ahead.